So obviously it's still so early in the process. You're just ramping up toward training camp. When you look at your team, Ron, what are the big question marks? You don't have to call out individual players, but just in terms of broad, as a head coach, what are some of the big question marks this team has to do kind of to be successful this season?
Well, I think the biggest thing more so anything else is going to always start with our depth. You know, we feel we've got some quality players at some of the key positions, so we feel good about that. I think one of the things you'll see is going to have to be the development of the rapport between the quarterbacks and the receivers. You know, we're in a new situation. You know, we've got a very competitive quarterback room. It's going to be interesting to watch these guys and see how they develop their chemistry with our receivers, our tight ends, our running backs, and the offensive line for that matter.
Fun question for you. The first day of school pictures that the players took over the last couple of days have been circulating over on social media. Just wondering, what did you think of those pictures, and who was your favorite out of those pictures that were taken?
It was hilarious. I really do appreciate them. I think they all were. There's some pretty good comments, and you just got to be careful with them because sometimes they're going to come back and haunt these guys. That's the best part.
I don't know if you saw Fitzpatrick's, but that was my favorite.
Yes, Fitzpatrick's was very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a mom, that to see those, that was I gave kudos to the social media team because those were tremendous. Those were fun. Even the non-sports fan can like those. Mike, I just got one for you, Ron. Antonio Gibson, he's a guy that when he came in last year, he was dealt with a position change. He had the injury. What have you seen from him in your time with him and his growth as a person, a player, and all that stuff that he kind of had to go through, you know, in just 1 year of football, professional football?
I think it's been very steady. You know, in spite of not having a normal off season last year to prepare and get ready for their rookie season, I thought all of our rookies handled last year very, very well. Very pleased with all of our rookies as they're back now, working their way into opportunities on our football team. That's the thing that's been a lot of fun to watch. And you see the individual growth. I mean, you see the continued growth by Chase. You see Antonio. You see Antonio AGG. You really do like that in terms of those young guys. Cam Curl. I mean, I go through the whole list of all the guys from last year and just tell you every guy's made strides and going in the right direction. But, you know, for Antonio making the position change, you can tell he's matured. He's got a better feel, a better understanding, and those natural instincts that you look for. The intangibles that guys who've been playing the positions that have had, you know, been playing them their whole career, you know, naturally have. You starting to see those come to light with Antonio. So it's exciting and hope for continued growth for him.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron, with Chase Young, what kind of strides have you seen even just in the couple days out here?
Well, really just his feel for things, the way he moves. In terms of the guys he's working with on the D line, there's some natural synergy between himself and that group, and it only comes with the more and more experience that he gains and feel he gets for the guys he's working with. That's probably the biggest thing you see. His natural leadership it shows already, and then his pass rush feel. You know, there's some things that he's done. He did yesterday, actually, was really good to watch. Was he ran a counter where he went up and underneath the guy. It was almost a natural, you know, he's getting that feel back. So that was good to see.
And then with Terry, one of the things he talked about was his release off the line. What have you seen from him this spring?
Well, we can't really get up and press him right now. So there really hasn't been an opportunity to watch these guys really work that stuff. But you see him, you know, trying to work on specific things while they're over there doing their individual drills. And you do know it's about getting off the line and getting off the line clean. And he'll continue to work that when we get a chance to start being pressed, you know, once we get to training camp. That's really when you'll see him work on it and start to develop.
Thank you.
All righty.
Hey, Ron, I asked Chris about what he's looking for from the free safety spot. What would make somebody stand out to take command of that job? I wanted to throw that question to you and also sort of ask a question about creating chemistry back there when you don't have Landon Collins playing. You don't necessarily know, or maybe you do know who your starting free safety is, but
Yep.
one, what are you looking for from your starting free safety? And also, how are you guys trying to implement chemistry when there's so much fluctuation happening?
Well, the one thing you're looking for is you're looking for a guy that's got range, you know, that basically can play center field. It's got to be a little bit of an air traffic controller, you know, be able to communicate on the move, be able to make sure guys are lined up in the right position, getting the checks out, getting the techniques that they're using across to each other. I mean, there's a lot that goes into a really quality free safety. And I've been fortunate. I played with some pretty good ones, and I've coached some pretty good ones. And we've got a good young group of guys that have that opportunity. As far as developing chemistry and Landon not being out there, that just comes from all the work. I mean, I know we roll a lot of guys in and we're moving guys all the way around, but you know, you have to know who you're playing with, and you got to learn how to communicate with that person. You got to do it quickly. And this is a good opportunity for these guys to develop that feel for one another. And it's also what goes on in the meetings. You know, when you ask guys questions, when you try to get guys to communicate those answers together, you know, there's a lot of ways to work it, not just out here on the practice field.
And then a guy like Cam Curl, obviously he filled in those last 8 games as strong safety, and he was set there. He was the big nickel prior to that. But now Chris talked about how he was moving around so much because you guys do have Landon. But you guys have said you guys want playmakers out there. We saw that today. I believe it was on John Bates. He had a play he made. So what do you do with a guy like that has shown that potential? He had the 3 interceptions last year. You know, he comes up to the line, he snuffs out stuff. But how do you find a way to make space for a guy like that on a team? Like, what creative ways are you guys finding to do that here?
Well, because a lot of times you look for what they did in college and look for those hybrid positions that are coming out of college right now. You know, we have one, we call it the Buffalo. That's the position he played for us last year. That's a position where you'll see him sniffing up at the line a little bit more. You also see him locking up on certain positions, whether it be a tight end or a back that comes out of the backfield. So there are ways to use guys, and we're learning to use a guy like that to the best of his ability that suits us. And again, like I said, whether it's playing him at a Buffalo position, which is a little bit of a hybrid spot, playing him at the strong and moving somebody else to that hybrid spot. There's a lot of things that you can do to utilize players.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Hi, Ron. Just to follow up on Antonio Gibson, what would you like to see out of him during this time in minicamp, but also in training camp? I mean, was there anything that you and Coach Jordan really emphasized to him this offseason?
Well, the biggest thing I've seen, and I know Coach has been emphasized to him, was staying in your book, learning. And that was kind of, you know, evident. He's really come a long way compared to last year, understanding and having a feel for what we do defensively. The other thing you really appreciate is just how the way he works during the individual drills. You know, there's a lot of things that Randy's trying to pull out of him in terms of understanding his cuts and when to press a hole, when to cut back. Those are things that he'll develop and get a better feel for the more reps he gets. It'll be natural for him because, you know, the way they played him at Memphis, you know, he occasionally ended up in the backfield. He occasionally ended up having to run through the line. So it's not all completely new to him. It's not all that foreign, but he's just got to develop a better feel for it.
And then with Matt Ioannidis, what have you seen from him so far in minicamp?
A lot of growth and development. I mean, you know, we missed him last year. Getting hurt in the third game of the regular season was a blow to our front. I mean, we were good last year. I think we can be better with Matt out there on the football field helping us. And what you've seen is him working, doing the extra things, the little things that help develop your skill set. And so I'm excited about getting Matt back on the field for us.
Hey, Ron, I wanted to ask, has Peyton Barber slimmed down a little?
Yes.
Is that something you guys wanted him to do, or how'd that come about?
I think that was done consciously by him. You know, and it's one of the things that when you do talk to guys that are becoming veteran guys in terms of a little older, a little longer in the tooth, one of the things that help them as far as their career is concerned is to maintain their weight, to keep it down. You know, it helps quicken. It takes a little bit of the stress off of their knees and ankles and hips and their lower back. They feel better. They feel faster. And you can see it. He's playing fast. He's done a heck of a job for us.
Any concern about kind of his short yardage abilities?
No, because he's stronger. He's worked at it too. So the trade-off is, he's probably lost a little bit of the baby fat and has gotten a little bit leaner. I'm believe me, I'm not concerned about his short yardage running, because one thing he does, he runs with leverage. He runs with good body lean, and I don't think it's going to impact his ability to run inside that much.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron, the defensive backs had a ton of pass deflections today, St. Juste in particular. Just curious what you thought. What did that mean for you in terms of what the defensive backs are doing, and also what it said about the offense today?
Well, it tells you they're working on their techniques. They've been doing a great job with it. This is our 8th practice together. And to a degree, it tells me that the defensive backs are getting used to some of the things that we're doing. And that's one of the problems when you practice against yourself. You tend to get a feel and an understanding of what to anticipate based on formation, based on movements, personnel. So it tells you that the defensive guys are developing that feel, that understanding that you want, and you hope that they carry into the season as they get to learn and study their opponents.
And on a different subject, obviously it's hard to I guess to some degree to get a sense for a guy like Sam Cosmi, since it's not full blown hitting and things like that, what he's going to be able to do. But now that you've been around him for a bit, what have you been able to sort of learn or confirm about his athletic traits, but also just who he is as a person and how he's going to fit in with you guys? He's
got a real good mentality about him. He's a solid young person, very bright, works hard at it, has a lot of pride. When he makes a mistake, he wants to be able to go back and correct it immediately. So that's been very good. He communicates well with his teammates. He works well with the guys around him. He's the right kind of guy. He's a good fit for us. And I think as time goes and his career, starts to grow, he'll be one of those kind of guys that has a chance to have a very long and fruitful career here.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Troy Apke take quite a few snaps at cornerback. So where did that kind of decision come from, and how do you think he's handling that transition so far here in the summer?
Well, it's one of those things that when we talked about personnel and moving guys around and putting guys in best position to be successful, you watch Troy and you see this guy that can run. He's got good quickness and anticipation, good play strength. He's a physical guy. He's got to work on some things, but his quickness, his speed, his short area ability to redirect is I think going to work to his benefit. And we think this might be one of those things where you've moved a guy into a position and he ends up playing it for a long time.
Phillips isn't on. I'll go.
I'm good. You can keep rolling.
Oh, okay. Hey, Ron, just about Benjamin St. Juste. It seems like he uses his size really well. I guess when that happens, like, what is a cornerback doing to use that size well? Like, how does a cornerback use his size well?
Well, when you watch a guy, pretty much he understands what his leverages are, where he needs to put himself in terms of understanding where my help is. If he's got help on the inside, then he knows he's got to position his body to the outside. And that, that type of understanding, that type of feel, that really gives you a chance to be successful, because a lot of times guys will work on the same side as their leverage. And if they do that, what happens is the receiver will know that, the quarterback will know that, hey, he's not in the right position, and he'll throw the ball away to the other side, away from the defender. But now if he knows he's got inside leverage with outside help, he can be in that position. And if the quarterback throws the ball outside, then the guy that's outside with the leverage helping him has a chance to make the play. So he's really got a good feel and understanding of that. He's got tremendous vision and understands how to play with vision. He can look through the receiver to the quarterback. He can have one eye on the quarterback and still have a feel for where his receiver is, which allows him to have great anticipation, jump, and make plays. So he's done a really good job showing us that. He plays the whole play. There's no relax in his game. When the ball's snapped, he's in position. When he's got to get in phase, he gets into phase. When he's got to burst, he knows how to burst. And then another thing is he's got some natural, he's got some natural abilities that are created because of his physical stature. He's got long legs, got long arms. He's got good strength. He's got good core strength. I mean, he's a pretty good package in terms of a nice, long, lean corner.
And when you talk about trying to find depth at OTAs, is he pretty much an example of that? Like if he keeps doing well, he'll earn playing time, that sort of thing?
Yes, he will. I mean, he's the kind of guy that as he continues to grow and keeps playing, we'll see. One of the things that I do always like to talk about is consequences. Right now, there's no consequences for gambling. There's no consequences for trying to make plays. Now, when you get into the real game action, when things start to matter, is the guy going to continue to make plays, or is the fact that there may be consequences if you don't succeed? Now what happens? So, right now guys are making plays because there are no consequences. The key is to see how they do again when there are consequences when you're playing in games.
We'll finish off with Sam, Jarrett, Bell, Les, and Chris.
Hey, Ron, to follow up on your point about St. Juice, how much is knowing, playing with leverage, understanding help, how much of that is innate and how much of that is, hey, we're coaching you up to kind of be this way? Or what's the balance there?
Well, the balance is if it's innate, he'll do it all the time because he's been coached well before he got here. If he's not, if he's not where he's supposed to be, again, then you wonder about his discipline, his ability to understand and learn. So he's shown us that he has that ability to understand. He's shown us that he knows what his techniques are and he plays to them. That's one of the benefits about, when you get a guy that's willing to do the little things, willing to work hard, willing to play hard, he's going to go out and put himself in position to make plays.
And just checking in on Tim Settle, we saw him in his street closing today. I don't think JD was here today. How are things going with those guys?
JD had a personal family member, a matter he's taken care of. And then the Timmy Settle had an ailment he's basically dealing with. It's not COVID and it's nothing seriously bad. It's just, so he's excused.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
I'm good, Jared. How are you?
Hanging in there, man. Say,
wow.
I was just wondering if you. What's
go ahead,
that?
Go ahead, Jared. So, wow, you came out to visit. As busy as you are?
Dude, we're all busy, and I'm just wanting to get out again and get back to normal. Which, in terms of that, before I ask my other question, what's it like this year with the whole idea of, we opening back up from the pandemic and doing more? How is that affecting the team and the preparations as you move towards training camp in a few weeks?
It's affecting us well. We got all our coaches, all our employees in the building, vaccinated. We're slowly getting more and more players vaccinated. It's a choice. They've got to make a choice. We're trying to stress the fact that, if we can get to herd immunity, we'll really be able to get out there and enjoy things. So hopefully that'll happen. But it's been good. It really has. It's great to see them in person. I mean, it really is. And not have to worry about Zooming and, it's kind of cool to be able to, to get up and talk a little bit more, get to know who they really are as young men. That to me is important. And it's the same thing for us, getting an opportunity to know you guys. We really haven't had that chance either. So it is kind of cool. It really is. And I'm pretty excited that we're semi back to normal with having OTAs and minicamp. That's been a cool experience this year so far.
How many players are vaccinated versus not vaccinated? What's the breakdown of your team?
I think we're nearing the 50%, somewhere in there. I know we had a few more get vaccinated yesterday. We're trying to gather as much information, allow the players to get as much information so they can make a choice and make a decision. We've tried to accommodate. We actually got one of the vaccine experts to speak to our players last night. She was outstanding. Our players were engaged. They asked a lot of good questions, and off of that, we had several guys that are getting vaccinated or have gotten vaccinated because of that. So, again, I think the big thing is we've got to be able to facilitate the opportunity for these guys to understand. A lot of guys, there's a lot of messaging that's out there that they get off of Twitter, and some of it's good, some of it's bad. I'm not sure if these guys watch, television, the news as much as I do, and try and gather as much information. So we're really trying to help them, because, again, if we can get to that herd immunity, we can really cut it loose and really be able to spend time with each other.
Yeah, what a difference a year makes.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm curious about Samus Reyes and what the progression has been like for him on the learning curve in these few weeks since you've had him. What have you seen? What have you liked in terms of how he's coming along?
The interesting thing about him, Jared, is his commitment. I mean, the way he is, the way he does things. This is a young man that has always played at a high level. Starting playing on a national team when he was he was a kid growing up in his teens, and then going to a basketball program and competing at that high level. So coming here, it's been great watching him commit to this and dive in head first. He works very hard at it. If you watch him now, he's gaining more and more confidence. He has no problem trying to be the first one in the drills. He follows Logan almost every time they're doing a drill. He's like the second guy. He's constantly coming in with questions and wanting to take a look at some extra tape, that type of stuff. He gets it, and it's been fun to watch. Now, when the pads get on and he gets bumped around a little bit, we'll see how he reacts.
Yeah.
I hope he handles it well, because he's got a tremendous skill set and he's got the right type of mindset to want to try and do it. He reminds me a lot of a guy like a Jimmy Graham, who really just, for having been a basketball player, has come out and really did a great job.
All right.
Hey, Ron.
Thanks a lot, Ron. I appreciate it.
All right, Jared.
Sorry, Jared. Hey, Ron. Yesterday Chase Young was talking about on paper having potentially the best defense in the league. And I know he did ultimately say, look, we have to prove it on the field. But how do you feel about that conversation starting, guys acknowledging it? Obviously, people are going to ask it, kind of going forward. How are you feeling about that whole thing?
Well, it's like I always tell everybody, it's interesting. It's not that important. You know what I'm saying? So let's just make sure we keep those things in the right types of categories. The only time it's important is when you're on the field. That's when it really truly matters. So it's great that they talk about it. It's great that they aspire to do that. But again, that's interesting. And let's make sure we keep the focus on what's truly important. That's our play on the field, because this league, and these guys will learn this very quickly. It's what have you done for me lately? What have you put on the field? That's the impact. That's what matters. So again, it's like I said, it's interesting. It's great conversation piece. You guys will bring it up and talk about it, and that's cool. We understand that, but we want to focus on what we do.
Is that something that do you care about rankings and that kind of thing? Does it matter, or is it just so much win base that, that just throw all that out?
Yeah, because there's a great little saying, figures lie and liars figure. You can pull anything you want out of the air and make that stat, make it important. There's a group out there that does all these stats, and they put all these stats everywhere, and they pull the stats from all over the place. And the thing I found is those numbers they come up with are subjective. They don't know exactly what we're doing or how we're doing it. They don't know what all the rules are. So when they grade somebody and they put a number out there, you got to be careful because of that, because again, it's subjective. And that's one thing about grading people. It's your opinion. So at the end of the day, when it comes to certain things, there's only certain opinions that truly do matter. So again, just remember, figures lie and liars figure.
Chris Russell, last one.
Hey, Ron, tomorrow when you cut these guys loose for the next 5.5, 6 weeks or whatever, what is your general message to them besides staying out of trouble and, staying in shape and all that stuff? And then I guess as a byproduct of that, with a couple of injuries around the NFL that have cost guys their jobs, by working out outside of a team facility. Obviously, some guys can, work out in the team facility during this period, but others are going to choose not to. How do you advise them as a coaching staff and you to be careful, but obviously stay in shape and do whatever they need to do or want to do to get ready for camp.
And that's basically it. I mean, that's the unfortunate part is these guys, when they are cut loose, when they do go home, they've got to be smart. They've got to be careful. And that's what we try to stress to them is take care of yourselves and be aware of your surroundings, be aware of where you're working out. You kind of wish that the NFL and the NFLPA would get together and maybe sanction or certify trainers or facilities that players train at and say, hey, we looked at all these areas and hey, these are places that would be a great spot for you to work out, but we need to do that collectively so we can, make sure we come up with some sort of idea on how to do that so that, we know that, hey guys, you're working out at the right kind of place. I mean, because you always worry about a guy working out at some high school field and stepping in a hole. I really do. It does concern me. So, you hope that they understand. But like I said, we maybe we could do something like that. Maybe we as a league and the association get together and just like they certify agents, why wouldn't they certify, trainers and facilities? There's a way to do it to so that the players take care of themselves, work out at the right type of place and get the right type of work done. I think that would be good for them. But I just hope that they're careful. Hope they take care of themselves. I hope they're staying in shape. We'll have a conditioning test when we get in.